Automotive technicians always catch heat from shop owners and service advisors. And I think it's sad because usually it's about things they can't control, right? Like there's only three numbers that an automotive technician can be accountable for in the business. One is efficiency. One is build hours, which goes hand in hand with efficiency. And the other is warranty, right? Their personal comeback rate. And here's the other side of that is oftentimes I'm seeing technicians who are getting blamed for quality issues when we're buying the cheapest quality parts we can buy. We're refusing to buy the bolts that go with the repair. If they're single-use bolts, we're refusing to do the job properly. And so we're trying to get out as cheap as possible so we don't have to have that hard conversation with the client. And then we look at the technician like it's the technician's problem. And, you know, look, I'm going to tell you something. Efficiency really is just how many hours are billed versus how many hours did it take the technician. And usually there are issues that the shop can contribute in that aspect. You know, we got, again, inferior parts that they had to work with to get them to work. We didn't get all the parts we needed, so they had to pull off and start back. Things like that can affect efficiency. But usually where you see that the most is productivity, is utilization. That's where those numbers really show up. And so before we look at the technician and complain about their build hours, we should see if the efficiency is on point. Now, let's be real about that. There are some things in there, and it's one of the reasons Shopware has utilization. But if the technician's not working on a job and they're in the bathroom or they're out back smoking a cigarette and it's not something where they're working on other jobs, yeah, you could blame the technician on that when it comes to productivity and utilization. But let's be really clear about this. Most of the issues in productivity, most of the issues in utilization are shop problems, not technician problems. If you aren't getting parts in a timely manner, if you aren't getting the right parts in a timely manner, if we're not communicating clearly, if we don't have our day planned out to where we know what we're going to work on, when we're going to work on it, if we're not setting proper expectations, right? So much of this is we set the expectation. What do I expect from you? I expect 8 build hours a day. Okay, cool. Do you have 8 hours of build hours? Do you have 8 hours of work a day for each technician to do? If not, that's gonna be a problem, right? That's your problem, not their problem. I think it is high time that we stop looking at the technician and blaming them for everything that goes wrong in the shop. It's rarely their fault. It's usually leadership's fault. It's usually management's problem. Last night I talked to a shop owner, super sweet guy, but as we got to talking, he was saying that all of his technicians were complaining about different things. He was so aggravated. He was so frustrated with his technicians. As we got to talking about it, it was clear. There was no system. There was no process. It was a free-for-all. His expectation was every single car in the shop had to go same day. That's ridiculous, right? He even said it's a really rare exception that we don't put them out the same day. Come on, guys, right? Now, he knows I'm making this video. I'm sure he knows that I'm talking about him. I'm not saying anything bad about the guy. He's a super sweet guy. He just didn't know any better. And that's something that we see all too often. And that's why we talk so much about education of the shop owner and so much about education of the service advisor and the manager. Because if we are not educated and understand how to run a business, then we can't be blaming our technicians. We can't be blaming the rest of our team. We have to blame ourselves. We have to have the knowledge to run a business. Most of the issues in auto repair shops come from leadership and management. Just gonna tell you, that's the way it is. It's not the technician. Sorry, not sorry. But that's just my opinion. I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below.